Good evening, folks. Welcome back again to Golem Telly. I am your host, the magical Mr. E. So 2025 is here at last, and I've got some great news for you already. I'm kicking off the new year with another double bill. Feast your eyes on this, folks. It's a copy of Smash Hits from the spring of 1985. Tonight, I'm going to be reading through the magazine with you. And then, in a few days' time, I'm going to be checking out the Smash Hits 85 sticker album. Let's not waste any time. Let's take this gorgeous magazine over to camera 2 right now. Let's stick it under the retroscope and let's zoom in. Can I just say, it's about midnight right now. And I definitely should be in bed, but I really want to do this. So I'm going to go for it, and it's okay because I'm not working tomorrow morning, so I can have a lie-in. Let's check out this front cover first of all. As you can see, this copy of Smash Hits cost 43p, and it's dated the 28th of March to the 10th of April 1985. And the cover star this week is the brilliant Pete Burns of Dead or Alive. And sadly, we lost Pete Burns in 2016, didn't we? That awful year, along with so many wonderful stars. But anyway, let's not get too morose about the situation. After all, we are here to celebrate this brilliant magazine and this glorious period in pop music history. Also in this issue, lots of Howard Jones and Stephen Tintin Duffy action. And of course, as you can see, a free packet of Smash Hits Collection 85 stickers. Now, the sticker album was given away in the previous issue of Smash Hits. And in my next show, which is coming up in a few days' time, I'm going to be celebrating that sticker album too, here on Golem Telly. So stay tuned, or tune in again, or whatever it is you got to do. But just come back in a few days' time and check out my next show. And here is Stephen Tintin Duffy. I'm not entirely sure why he called himself Tintin. Maybe he was inspired by the Thompson twins, who also named themselves after a character or two characters in the Tintin comics. Maybe, if you know, you could let me and the rest of us know in the comments. Let's just check out the contents here. The song lyrics that you're going to find in this issue. Somebody by Bryan Adams, The Belle of St. Mark, I love that one, Sheila E. Super Grand by Billy Connolly. Oh, and Electric Boogaloo by Ollie and Jerry. Cover Me by The Boss, Bruce Springsteen. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. The Heat Is On, Now That We've Found Love, and Hanging on a String. There's some great songs there. And this issue's features, Howard Jones gets a few pages all to himself. The photos they never dared to print. Yeah, that's a cool section. It's a load of fun outtakes from photo shoots. There's a really good Eurythmics interview. You got a Simon Le Bon centre spread, lovely. And this will be fun. David Essex, 15 Years of Fame. And the regular sections, you've got bits and single reviews and LP reviews, the letters section, that'll be worth a read, and some news about upcoming concerts that you will not want to miss. A little teaser here for some of the stickers that you'll find in that Smash Hits 85 album. Tony Hadley there, Julian Lennon, Morrissey, David Bowie, Kim Wilde, and Duran Duran. Are you a Duranie? Were you one back in the day? It's okay, you can admit it. Now here's the bits section, and look, what's this? Tintin, back again. Ask most people who they think is the most influential figure in the entire history of popular music, and they'll probably say Elvis Presley, David Bowie, or the Beatles, or Tony Basil. Well, they'd all be wrong. Following an exhaustive socio-musicological study undertaken by many of the world's leading brains, we can now reveal that the most important person in pop's rich history is none other than Tintin, the cub reporter of comic adventure book fame. Though many might deny it, there is hardly one single modern pop performer who hasn't stolen ideas from Tintin and his friends. Why, look at Jimmy Somerville. Where do you think he got that hair and those clothes? And then there's Stephen Tintin Duffy. Where do you think he got that middle name? Well, I mean, that was pretty obvious, right? Not from some obscure German Gothic novel, that's for sure, matey. And not content with that, Mr. Duffy recently formed a pop duo called Dr. Calculus. Ooh, I didn't know that. Ring a bell at all? Well, what was the name of the eccentric inventor in the Tintin books? Professor Calculus. And what were those two bumbling bowler-hatted detective characters called? the Thompson twins. And then there was Tintin's crusty old sea salt chum, whose name was Captain Haddock, which is not exactly a million miles away from grab the haddock. What? I don't remember this at all. Plus, Captain Haddock was much given to shouting billions of bilious blue blistering barnacles and other choice phrases that have quite obviously provided the inspiration for the lyrics of Julian Lennon, Susie and the Toy Dolls, to name but three. Even Tintin's dog Snowy has had a major impact on modern music, having written and produced hits for REO Speedwagon, Shakin' Stevens and many others. Are you sure about this, Ed? Now what's this? The Pogues have found time between drinks to record a new single, A Pair of Brown Eyes. Now that is a great song, isn't it? What a genius Shane MacGowan was. Sadly missed now. I've got to tell you folks, I bought myself something the other day. I treated myself. I've had my eye on a concertina for a long time now. I finally took the plunge and it's on its way. Hopefully it'll be delivered tomorrow. And I'm going to teach myself how to play a few Pogues classics on my lovely new concertina. And maybe, just maybe, I might play one or two for you in a future Golem Telly show. What do you think? Good idea? Now there's quite a lot in the bit section actually, so I can't go through all of it, but it is worth pointing out that if you want to join the Eurythmics, Dead or Alive or Howard Jones fan clubs, the addresses are here. And here's that excellent article on Howard Jones. It's crazy to think that this is now 40 years ago. And only last year, in 2024, I was lucky enough to see Howard Jones twice. Once at the London Palladium, and then again at the O2 when he was supporting OMD. And he was as brilliant as ever. I mean, maybe better than ever. I really do like Howard Jones. He takes his music really seriously, but I don't think he takes himself too seriously, which is, I think, the perfect combination. He says here, I am on a crusade. I'm deadly serious about what I do. I believe in this 1,000,000%. And I guess with that kind of dedication, mixed with his amazing talent, it's no wonder he is still going strong after more than 40 years. Now here's Paul Young's new album, the follow-up to No Parlay, I think, The Secret of Association. And it's got, what's it got on it? Every Time You Go Away. That's the big hit on that album, I think. And it was written by Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates fame. Did you know that? Every time you go away. Do you think of planes, trains and automobiles every time you hear that song? I do. So this is the outtake section I mentioned earlier. And these all come from various photo shoots. I like this one of John Taylor of Duran Duran posing perfectly. But here you can see how the magic is achieved. A little bit of powder on his chin to take off the shine. And this is a little bit confrontational from some of the Spandau Ballet boys. Bananarama, Sisterly Love. Here's some 80s threads, courtesy of C&A. How long is it since C&A disappeared from the high street? Must be 20 years, I reckon. I remember the one in Brent Cross Shopping Centre. Used to go in there quite a lot. I reckon the collapse for C&A started when they stopped selling clothes like this. Is that TDK D90 the ultimate blank cassette, do you reckon? Or did you get a bit flash with the cash and splash out on an AD90? D90, more than good enough for me. And here's the first of our printed lyrics. There's Somebody by Bryan Adams, that's a great song, and The Bell of St. Mark by Sheila E. Now it says Words and Music by Sheila Escovedo, but I know for a fact that song was at least partly written by Prince. And I believe that he was inspired by the bells of St. Mark's Church, which was in Minneapolis, near where he lived, and that's where the song's title and lyrics come from. I bet you didn't know that, but I did, because I'm a huge Prince fan. Now as for Sheila E., she was not only a great singer, with a few brilliant songs to her name, but she was also an amazing drummer. And if you haven't seen or heard them before, then I strongly recommend you check out some of her drum solos. And you can do just that if you watch Prince's amazing 1987 Sign of the Times concert. Do it straight after this show and you can thank me later. So here we have Strawberry Switchblade reviewing this fortnight's singles. There's a lot of great songs here. I've already mentioned A Pair of Brown Eyes. What do they say about that one? Well, Jill Bryson says, I wouldn't normally listen to this type of traditional Irish folk song, but it's so well done and such a strong song that I think anyone could like it. And Rose McDowell says, did they record this in a pub? There must be quite an art to playing an accordion with a pint of lager on top, I suppose. But I love accordions, and it's got a nice production from Elvis Costello. Now, what else have we got going on here? Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. I'm sure of this, I remember seeing a billboard at the time Welcome to the Pleasure Dome was released. The single, by the way, not the album. And the writing on the billboard said, their fourth number one. Now, this was released after they'd already scored 3 number ones with their first 3 singles. Relax, 2 Tribes, and The Power of Love. And so I guess they were feeling pretty confident that Welcome to the Pleasure Dome was going to be their 4th number one, but it wasn't. And as I recall, it only got to number 2. And I think that's kind of where the Frankie Goes to Hollywood peak came and then went. Because they did release one more excellent album, but let's face it, they never quite managed to reach the same dizzy heights as they had in 1984. Now, Godley and Cream's Cry, I thought that was an excellent song, but Jill says it's a weak ballad in amongst some nice synth sounds. It's got a horrible ending that made my backbone go all squeegee. Yeah, it did have a funny ending actually, I remember that. Rose says, I like the sleeve. It reminds me of a dress I had when I was 8. Now here's a fun crossword. Shall we have a go? What's this one here? Number 14. Ex-Eagle associated with the boys from 17 Across. Well, hang on a second. What's 17 Across? Disco Donna. Well, that's got to be Summer. So, Ex-Eagle associated with the boys from 17 Across, Summer. I get it. The boys of Summer. It's Don Henley. Number 2 down. Trevor Horn's Delightful Din. Art of Noise. 32 down. Like UB40's wine. Red. Neil Diamond wrote that, didn't he? Some more song lyrics here, and I'm loving the contrast between Meatloaf and the Jesus and Mary chain. These guys don't look like they're enjoying being pop stars at all. I like the way that the chorus lyrics have been printed here. Ah ha ha, ah ha ha, ah ha ha, ah ha ha, ah ha ha. Never understanding, you'll never understand me, yeah. Ah ha ha, ah ha ha, ah ha ha, ah ha ha. You know, sometimes in English lessons at school, I've used song lyrics to help teach poetry. I don't think I'll be using the lyrics to Never Understand for that purpose anytime soon. Meatloaf, on the other hand, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's a great metaphor. I would do anything for love, hyperbole, and like a bat out of hell, I'll be gone before the morning comes. An excellent simile. Here's that Eurythmics interview. Are you rich? Dave. Yeah, we are. Where do you live these days? Dave, I've just bought a house in Maida Vale, and I just bought an apartment here, Paris, as well. It's alright for some, isn't it? Quick shout out here to my good friend Matt Cooper. He can't stand Annie Lennox, and he hates Phil Collins too. Coops and C Drive, Happy New Year, my friends. I look forward to seeing you both very soon. Now, the Get Smart section was quite good, actually. Let's take a look. Stephen Tintin Duffy recently entered the charts with a song called Kiss Me. I know it's a remixed version, and as I prefer the earlier mix, could you find out if it's still available? Spike, Stockport. Well, the answer is Kiss Me was first released by WEA in October '82, and although it was promoted tirelessly, it failed to take off. Now that WEA have lost the rights to his recordings, your only chance of getting hold of the early version might be to rummage through your local second-hand dealer's shop. I never knew how to pronounce this guy's name. Is it Belouis Som? Some music moves you, some music makes you move. I think that would actually be better the other way around, right? So, some music makes you move, some music moves you. See where I'm coming from? What do I know? Now, Supergran was actually all the rage back in 1985, can you believe it? And here are the lyrics to Billy Connolly's song, Hang About, Look Out for Supergran. And over here, Strawberry Switchblade are about to get a taste of their own medicine, but is the reviewer going to be kind to them? Well, the title of their album is Strawberry Switchblade, and what does Chris Heath say? There's something incredibly twee about 2 girls, ribbons in their hair, buried in polka dots, who sing sickly sweet love songs with lyrics like, then I get myself a glass of milk. But there's something quite appealing as well. Every song here has an irresistibly catchy tune. Some, like the last 2 singles, get a bit irritating after a while, but others, like the sad Who Knows What Love Is, are quite lovely. He's given it an 8 out of 10. That's very good. The Fall also got an 8 out of 10 for their new album. Now, I must be honest, I have tried to get into The Fall before, but I just haven't been able to so far. I do like Spoiled Victorian Child very much, but I don't know. I need more time. Ooh, bit of a harsh review here for The Secret of Association. Paul Young is confused, says Simon Mills. The Secret of Association finds him playing an American trooper on his clinical treatment of Tom Waits' A Soldier's Things, an Australia-bound prisoner on the almost folky I Was in Chains, a modern-day rock and roller on Bite the Hand, and the soul singer we all love on his own magnificent Everything Must Change. Only Daryl Hall's Every Time You Go Away comes close to challenging that. The other 3 songs written by Paul here are rather weak. One day Paul Young will make a great album. Instead, this is uncomfortable, irritating, and just a little disappointing. Wow, that is almost scathing. There's the Boss with his latest song, Cover Me. Brilliant song. The times are tough, just getting tougher. And Ollie and Jerry. Here are the lyrics to Ollie and Jerry's Electric Boogaloo. Now that was the follow-up to Ain't No Stopping Us. And both of those songs were from the 2 breakdance films. The first song, a massive hit. The second one, not so much. And I think Ollie and Jerry disbanded shortly after this song came out, so it's kind of sad really. Actually, what's really sad is that poor old Jerry here, he died I think in 1996, and he was not very old at all. I think he was in his 40s. And here's this issue's centre spread. It's Simon Le Bon in Wild Boys mode. Forgive me for not rearranging the camera so you can look at it, but you can always tilt your head to the left and take a closer look if you want to. Amazingly, I'm wearing a pair of trousers right now that look exactly like these, complete with holes. It's just as well you can't see them actually. Some Memorex cassettes for sale here. Let's see, which is the better value? You get 4 60-minute cassettes for $2.99, but you also get 3 90-minute cassettes for the same price. Now hang on, let me do the sums. 4 hours here, 4.5 hours here. That's better value. Plus, you can get a whole album on each side, so that is a no-brainer. And here's the RSVP section. Let's see. We are 2 boys, Mark and Simon. We are 15 years old and about 5'5". We like UB40, Big Country, The Smiths, etc. Well, they've got good taste in music. We would like girls aged about 15 from anywhere, but no Duranis. Oh dear. Send a pic if poss. Right to, oh my god, they got the whole address there as well. Right to Simon, 42 Harvey Street, Halstead, Essex, CO9 2LH. I wonder how they got on. Ah, but look, here is a Durani. Hi all you Duran fans. Are you aged 12 to 14 and love Duran Duran and hate heavy metal and hippies? That's like half the young ones. Well then write to me. I'm 12 and I promise to write back to everyone. Write to Teresa Polly, 47 Winterbourne Road, Abingdon, Oxon. Oh, these are great. Look. Hi, I'm Omar, 16, and he's Gavin, 15. He's a good-looking blonde with blue eyes and a stunning personality, and I'm envious. Likes include Ultravox, Madonna, Frankie, and Squash. Write to us at 44 Rayleigh Road, Woodford Green, Essex, IG8 7HF. Some full-colour posters for sale here. Let's see, the more you buy, the cheaper they get. 1 poster for $2.50, 2 for $4.25, 3 $5.95, oh, 5 for £9.50. Now which 5 would I get? I'd get Madonna, and Kim Wilde, and Prince, and Howard Jones, and Wham. There's a word search here, I can't be bothered with that. What's this? Personal file for Tracy Thorn of Everything But the Girl. They made a bit of a comeback last year, didn't they? Anyway, Tracy Thorn was born Tracy Ann Thorn, September the 26th, 1962, in Brookman's Park, near Hatfield, in Hertfordshire. Favourite poets? I haven't actually read any since I left university last summer. My favourite poet as a student was William Blake. I wonder if she read London. That's a bit of a depressing one, from Songs of Experience. I admired both Blake and Shelley because of their revolutionary tendencies and the modernness of a lot of their vision, which seemed to me to be kind of continuously relevant and inspiring. She's quite intelligent, isn't she? Do you go to the laundrette? Yes. Ben does the washing up, and I go to the laundrette. Overall, Ben actually does a lot more menial tasks than I do, because he's obsessively tidy, and I'm obsessively untidy. I've come to realise recently that I'm the only person in the world who likes to go to the laundrette. I haven't been able to find anyone else from any walk of life who does. I find it relaxing to go down there, put the washing in, and read a book. A couple of ads here. There's Phil Collins' new song, One More Night, what a classic. And the movie Not Quite Jerusalem, which had its name changed, I think, to Not Quite Paradise. Anyway, it was a rom-com and it was set on a kibbutz in Israel, and I don't think I've seen it since the 80s, but I might have to check it out again. Laughs, sex, romance, pain and tragedy. Now I've got a great story for you here. I once lived on a kibbutz, and only for about 3 or 4 months. It was in 1992, and the kibbutz was called En Gev, and it was on the Sea of Galilee. Now on that kibbutz, the volunteers had a bar, and it was called the Beirut Arms. I'll never forget it. We had a barman there who was called Neil. Neil was from Essex, and he was a huge West Ham United fan. Now, the most noticeable thing about Neil was that he had one arm, but he was still absolutely amazing at pool. He used to beat me every time he played, just playing one-handed. And I remember one night I asked him how he lost his arm, and he told me that he'd been drinking in the pub in Essex all day, and he was so drunk when he cycled home that halfway home he fell off his bike and his arm was lying in the road, stretched out, and a lorry ran over it. Anyway, sadly for Neil, his arm was so badly damaged that it had to be amputated. Ooh. To his credit, he took it all in good spirits. And I'll never forget, amongst his many tattoos was one of a dotted line that circled the stump of his arm, accompanied by the words, "Cut here." And that is a true story. Now here is an article about Bryan Adams, the Canadian rocker, who I guess modelled himself on Bruce Springsteen. I mean, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but as well as sounding and looking a little bit Bruce Springsteen-y, I do remember one of his songs begins with the lyrics, "Put on your best dressed baby, can't you see the time is right?" Yeah, that was it. But Bruce Springsteen wrote a song called Out in the Street, and I think it's on the River album, and that begins, "Put on your best dressed baby and darling fix your hair up right." So slightly different, but far too close to be a coincidence. Now here's this issue's letters section. Write to Smash Hits, 52 to 55 Carnaby Street, London. What a cool place to work. Dear Black Type, please print these pictures of Dennis the Menace and Ped of Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Yours relaxingly, Paul Rutherford's moustache, Woolwich. What do you reckon? Separated at birth? Now check out the editorial team over here. Assistant editor, Neil Tennant. That's right, Neil Tennant of the Pet Shop Boys worked for Smash Hits in Carnaby Street before becoming a world-famous pop star. You knew that, didn't you? Now here's another film I haven't seen for a long time. That's Morons from Outer Space. They came, they saw, they did a little shopping. Griff Rhys-Jones and Mel Smith. Poor Mel Smith, another genius, gone way too soon. I like the way this page is decorated. And good songs as well. Loose Ends Hanging on a String, Contemplating, and Third World with Now That We've Found Love. Classics. Some signed LPs to be won. Dream Into Action by Howard Jones. Love that one. The follow-up to Humans Lib. Stephen Tintin Duffy, The Power Station. Made up of a couple of moonlighting members of Duran Duran and Robert Palmer. Good band. And the Hits album too. Those Hits albums really gave the Now That's What I Call Music compilations a run for their money for a while, didn't they? Now there's Pete Burns in his prime. Pete Burns thinks he comes across as a nasty piece of work, possibly because he speaks his mind, possibly because he says things deliberately to annoy people. Oh well, fair enough then. Ian McCulloch does exactly the same thing, but everybody thinks he's hilarious because he looks dead ordinary. So is being honest a crime? As Pete tells Chris Kirk, we can all look after ourselves in this quagmire called pop, as long as we're given the right to reply. Marilyn came up to me and asked why I hated him. I swear I've never said anything bad about the guy. He scarcely crossed my consciousness. On Boy George, George threw down the gauntlet by calling me a basset housewife, and I was stupid and took the bait. Yeah, they had a bit of a rivalry going on, didn't they, in the 80s, but I think they made it up in the end. And I do believe that Boy George very graciously paid for Pete Burns' funeral back in 2016. It's just too sad. On the Smiths, I adore them and I adore that guy. One of the most flattering things I've ever read was when Morrissey said he wanted to meet me. And here's the handsome David Essex and his story in pictures. He's a bit of a lad with an eye for the ladies, and he's worn some of the most disturbing clothes ever invented. Here is the pictorial proof. Well, yeah, they're not wrong. That's a shocker. That, I don't know what that is at all. This one here with Kenny Everett, well, he can't really be blamed for that one. He's just dressing up like Sid Snot. And I guess that was David Essex in 1985 with a lovely doggy. Here's another ad that can only have come from the 80s. It's for Wrangler jeans. Got a computerized t-shirt? Yeah, it's on visual display unit. Oh, I get it. Visual display unit. Now this is a great section about pop stars' mums. You've got Gary Newman's mum, Howard Jones's mum, Rick Parfitt's mum and Dave Gahan's mum. A special smash hit survey was set up to ask the kind of questions only a mother could answer. Now here's Lillian Parfitt, Rick Parfitt's mum. Oh my goodness, another one who passed away in 2016. It's too much, isn't it? Lillian Parfitt has been helping her son move into his new flat. He's never been on his own before, she explains, so she's had to straighten him out on a few things, like not keeping the Ajax and Vim in the same cupboard as the food. I think he'll get on fine in his new flat though. He's learned how to run a Hoover around, though I don't think he likes dusting much, at least not from what I've found. Now this here is an ad for Just 17, which is out on March the 27th, the next issue, and I think they've managed to use just about every single font ever invented. In the next issue of Britain's Brightest Girls magazine is your chance to be a model. Nick Kershaw in Germany, Simon Le Bon in the middle, and a very, very special competition with Howard Jones. Now my sister used to read Just 17 and she's a couple of years older than me. Now I'm sure she wasn't the only older sister to read Just 17 back in the day, and I'm sure I wasn't the only younger brother to sneak into his older sister's room every once in a while and secretly read her copy of Just 17. I learned an awful lot from that magazine. Here's a few dates for your diary. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, putting on an extra couple of dates at the Hammersmith Odeon. There's The Alarm, also putting on some extra dates. Chippenham Gold Diggers, Dunstable Queensway. And there's Howard Jones there, with one extra date at Wembley Arena on the 17th of April. Well, we're almost there, folks, nearly at the end of the magazine. This is the penultimate page. Mutterings, the rumours that are doing the rounds. John Moss and Marilyn had a bit of a tiff on last summer's jaunt to Jamaica. Maz wound up John, John threw a chicken leg at him, Maz threw a lobster back, John chucked a jug of wine over him, and Maz rushed off in tears. Oh, the drama! Well, here's another one about Marilyn, look. Aren't New York hotels strange places? Boy George was spotted running round one in just a negligee and high-heeled shoes. And it's muttered that Marilyn insisted on the room service waiter in his room wearing only his apron. Let's hope it's not true. Following reports in the press, Dead or Alive are at pains to point out that they can play live. An old Liverpool acquaintance has been speaking out about Pete Burns and Holly Johnson. They'd spend hours doing each other's makeup. Madonna once starred in a rather naughty movie called A Certain Sacrifice. Have you seen A Certain Sacrifice? Is it as naughty as they say? I don't think I've seen it, or at least I can't remember. Hang on, wasn't the video for Crazy For You made up of footage from A Certain Sacrifice? I'm sure it was. And here we are on the back page, folks, and speaking of Madonna, here's a heads up for you that in the next issue, out on April the 11th, there's a free Madonna and Duran Duran poster. The only thing is, it's one poster and it's double-sided. Now, as much as I like Duran Duran, and as much as I like that poster, I can tell you now that there was only ever going to be one side of that poster that was going to be displayed on my bedroom wall back in 1985. And it should come as no surprise to you to find out that it was that one. And that's a wrap, folks. Smash Hits Magazine, 28th of March to the 10th of April, 1985. Now, I haven't got my watch on right now, but I do know that it is really late. So, let's hurry back to camera one and knock it on the head for tonight. I hope you enjoyed checking out that issue of Smash Hits with me. Thank you so much for joining me again tonight. I really do appreciate it. If you could like and share this video, that would make you a smash hit. And if you could subscribe to Golem Telly if you haven't done so already, well, you'd go straight in at number 1. I'll be back in a few days' time with the Smash Hits 85 sticker album. In the meantime, please enjoy the rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Evening shadows decrease.